Welcome back to SnowRunner, where I've just done a little off camera. I've just moved the trailer a little further, just winced it to the truck, and brought the yard over with some fuel. Now, I thought I was all being clever and just rock crawling over this, and I almost made it, and then I rolled. Because I guess this vehicle had too high a center of gravity for what I was trying to do. Trying to avoid what I like to call the triangle mud pit of doom, which goes from that shack to this rock to that first standing tree. For some reason you expect the mud to get easier to deal with, but it doesn't. At least that was my experience when I first came through here with the Azov 5319 back when I got the game when it came to Steam. It just felt like once I got through all these down trees, I just hit a wall of mud, even though theoretically it should be getting shallower and shallower and you should be having less and less resistance as you get to the little hill this village is sitting on. Anyway, we have fuel. And we're just gonna give this all the fuel to the Zix so we can finally get this task small landslide done. And then as we drive by, we'll drop some of it off for the 5070 International so it can deliver the wooden planks that are needed for this job also. If I could only make, well, I usually can come down to a top 3 list of changes I'd love to make in this region. Change 1 would, obviously, if it hasn't been done through nerfing, because I realized it was too much of a pain, getting rid of the little mud pit triangle of doom. Change 2 would be, if we could add tasks, would be something called a log crossing to the village, which would take care of this mud pit right up here. Just say you need to deliver a single load of medium logs, because I don't think you should be spending too much time getting the roads open, but it seems that's sort of one of the ways they kind of tried to make things more difficult here is by, like say, 2 metal beams for a rock mine. The clear rock slide, or infamously on Cosmodrome, that log crossing needing 3 sets of medium logs. No, I changed that to 1 set of medium logs. If not, change it to 1 set of short logs. Just because of how you have to use trucks with high ground clearance here, which makes them prone to tipping over in this region. We need to refuel. So, rather than give the 6, 60 liters should be enough. Okay, so we're now going to move. I mean, there are a lot of other changes. I was thinking about it just before I recorded this video, and there's close to 8 different changes I make on the map versus the river alone. If I was in charge, honestly, just to kind of give you an idea, but a lot of them are minor personal preference changes. So, you want to, I guess it would be a top 4, because you'd have the 3 I mentioned, plus burying those cement things outside the, these things need to, the cement things here so they don't destroy your suspensions, tires, and fuel tanks. These need to be buried deeper, and that is, in fact, that would probably be the top #1 change I'd want from the region, closely followed by the reducing of the number of medium blocks for the crossing at Cosmodrome, and that would probably be my top 2. But anyway, we should be able to go through here because, well, it's the Zix. It's not going to have a problem. And that's the whole idea behind this operation here using this trailer. Which, heads up, with some cargoes I found it the two-axle sideboard does have a tendency to tip in certain situations because it's so light. Especially with pop heavy cargo like cargo containers, or as I really found out in Almighty when moving the two-slot size blocks of slate. You do not want to move those with the two-slot sideboard. And as you can see, just kind of makes it through here without, well, it's slow, but it works, and I don't have to use the winch, so I'm going to call this a win, essentially. He says right as it comes to a complete stop. That's hilarious, and I end up having to use the winch, but, let's see, can I? Not exactly the direction, but it, there, that should work. Because it's just really getting the trailer through. Okay, I will admit, I did not think I was going to have an issue doing this. I thought for sure the 6 was going to be an I win button. Oh, okay, the trailer's coming out, so now it's... Yeah, now we're moving again. I was going to stop here and wait for the 50-70, but it feels like if I get momentum going, I should not stop until I get to the top of this hill. To not do so. Because it would be a bad idea to stop just like right here. So we're not going to do that. And we'll just crawl up this hill, I guess, in low gear is what we're going to have to do. Okay, I guess this is also an example of what happens when you don't have weight on your back axles, because I'm pulling a trailer. And it's a dolly trailer on top of that, so it's not like you can count on the front part of the trailer's weight going down onto your drive axles, which is the other issue. In fact, as crazy as this sounds, we may actually need the 50-70 to get it up this hill. Either that or you drive slow or winch it up a little and then drive forwards, of course. So, looks like the play here, if I wasn't trying to go straight to getting the rocket trailer, would have been to slot the sideboard bed on the things itself, not use the trailer. But anyway, let's bring the 50-70 across. And hope we have some more success with that. 5070 did the job. I have to admit that climb went a little better than I thought, because as I hitched up to the trailer I was thinking, oh no, this is going to be a problem. Because normally when you have two different weights of cargo in a situation like this, you want the heavier load to be on your truck for traction purposes, and the lighter on the trailer, and I did the exact opposite here, so kind of happy it worked out. But anyway, job done. Landslide cleared. So, thank you for watching.